Hey, everybody. Yes. Woo. Yes. Welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast. Thanks for coming back. Thank you guys so much for liking the videos. That really helps. It tells YouTube that we're doing something good here. It tells YouTube that we might be promoting another Google product, AdWords, and maybe that'll. I mean, Chris, if they're going to bump anybody up in the algorithms,
Yeah,
we're playing on the same team here, guys. Get us some views.
Got their name like right here,
Yeah.
come on.
So yes, thank you guys for liking the videos. If we can hit, I think 20 likes on every video, Chris, I think things go boom for us. That's kind of the metric I've been looking for. So I appreciate that, guys.
Where did you read that? I'm not aware.
Well, I mean, given for the amount of views we get, I'm like, okay, if our video gets 7 to 10 likes, it's like, all right, that was a Chris Schaefer kind of video.
Oh.
But if we get 20 plus likes,
it has Jason's face on it, so it does really good. Yeah, the ones that we want. Here's an inside view into our strategy. The ones we want to do really well, we put Jason's face right on the front, and then people click it. They're like, "Look at that guy! He knows what's going on," and they click, and they click quick.
Watch my mouth, Chris. Yes. It's not moving, is it? Is it creepy?
Yeah, it's weird. People talk.
Yes.
They're gonna thumbs down because of that.
Oh no, they're not. The only time they do that is when you say those nasty words, Chris, and you plant the seed in their head. We should just start over because you said that. I mean, my life is ruined now. All right, we ready to go to the audio here? Oh, by the way, guys, we're talking about puny budgets today and how to make the most of them. Because you really can, and that's what we're going to talk about. It really does work.
They know that. It was on the video headline.
No, what was on the video headline is podcasters break up, must watch.
Chris curses and quits the podcast.
Honestly, Chris, if we put a thumbnail of my picture like this, and then we just put "Where's Chris" as the title, we'd get a lot of views.
People would freak out. Yeah. All right.
I'm going to scream, okay? It's been a while, so I'm going to scream now. Hey, everybody. Yes, welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by the great Chris Schaefer. Chris.
Hello, Jason. Jason,
back.
I was recently celebrating my 9th year of self-employment, freelancing from my home, doing what I love. And someone asked me, what would you change, or what did you wish you knew? And Jason, I know you know what the answer is, but I'm just going to say it on air here. My answer was, I wish I knew Jason Rothman 9 years ago, when he was in the infancy of AdWords, when he didn't even know what it was. And I wish I would have snapped him up and got the world's greatest AdWords manager working for me. That's what I wish my 9-year-old, 9-year younger self would have known back then. That's what I'm celebrating. Happy 9 years of self-employment to me.
I wonder what the odds are you make it to year 10. I mean, it's got to be 100%.
It's got to be high. I mean,
it's probably 95%.
The chances of me making it to 10 years was like 10% chance or something like that. But from 9 to 10, I think it's pretty good.
All right.
Thanks for the vote of confidence there. Ouch. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You just keep talking about this food truck every week, like behind the scenes, and I'm wondering, like, when you're going full time with that.
Yeah. I have this new idea for a sandwich in a shoe, which is you just cook the meat and the cheese and everything right in the shoe, and that way it's easily packaged. They can just put the shoe on, and they have the sandwich anytime they want it. It's a great idea.
Chris, in all seriousness, what do you eat for lunch usually?
Tuna and goldfish.
Wow. Okay.
Just tuna out of a bowl with some relish and mayonnaise, and then goldfish. I like goldfish.
And what's a usual dinner for you at your home?
Meat and bread, I guess. Like chicken.
Vegetables.
Oh yeah, vegetables. Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who does the cooking?
Oh, my wife. I'm not a cooker. That's something I consider that very important. I love to eat at home, and I love my wife's cooking, so it's important to me.
Should I get into the AdWords topics now?
Yeah, we should. We should. That's enough about me. Really personal. Enough. This is not the Chris show. This is the show about for you guys out there that have budgets that you don't think can compete, right? Budgets that are small, comparable, compared to other budgets, what you think doesn't work. Jason, what budget would you say is just impossible to run on AdWords? You know, is there budget?
Impossible? Impossible? I would say if you're gonna come at it in any kind of like the service industries we work with, movers, lawyers, plumbers, roofers, B2B software company, you know, whatever. If you're gonna come at it with $100, what are we doing here? You know, that's kind of what are we doing here? But I mean, if you can go up to 500 a month, which is on business days, I think $25 a day. We can work with that. Let's do something with that. What's your threshold? 500?
Yeah. I think I think I've run plenty of campaigns that are 100 back. I think I still do a few now, but 100's difficult. It's not really gonna get a whole lot of traffic. Not really gonna be a whole lot of things that you can really measure. But I'd say 300 is nice, because then you can get, $10 a day every day.
Yeah, depending on the industry, 2-3 clicks a day.
So it depends on the metric. If you're a locksmith and you want to spend 300 a month, do flyers. Try printing flyers. That'll fit your budget. But before we get started,
we have a routine.
Schnizzy.
Well, don't get in trouble here, Chris.
Says, great podcast. He says, yes, 5 stars. OMG, the banter. This is hilarious. It's like the Man Show meets AdWords. Great education. I love that. The Man Show.
He can say the Man Show, Chris, but when I look at you, I honestly think this is America's Top Model meets AdWords.
I wore an extra tight black shirt.
The reason women watch the show. Chris Schaefer and that hair.
I know.
That spiky hair, that black shirt, those bulging muscles coming out of that t-shirt.
Okay,
and the white earphones.
Chris,
the black on white right now with that fresh haircut and that fresh shave, Jason, you look like a guru.
Jason,
you look like a guru.
We're getting into questionable territory here. We're talking about budgets, not bulging. Okay?
All right, let's talk about budgets. And the reason I wanted to do this episode, Chris, I talked to a straight up loser yesterday. A freaking loser. So, dude calls me up, tries to take up some of my time, and wants to know about AdWords. Like, hey, can I run this for my company? We've looked at it, we're trying it, blah, blah, blah. And he just had this approach to AdWords in his market. Like, we're not a top dog. We can never compete with those big guys on AdWords. So our heart's not in it. We just want to run it until our SEO starts working. I was like, and as soon as he said that, I just lost all interest in trying to sign him up as a client, because people don't change. And he can, I'm moved on. I moved on. So we hung up quickly after that. But I thought to myself, what a loser. Like, when you look at AdWords and you look at how many companies are on there, the beauty of it, where people are searching for exactly what you offer, and then to just think you can't do it because big advertisers in your town also are on there. Like, how dead inside are you? Yeah. You're not thinking about things like, yeah, maybe there are big advertisers, but I'm still going to be able to spend my $500. I mean, does that just disappear? Or do I get clicks from people searching for exactly what I offer? So it was that loser attitude of not even trying if you're small that prompted me to be like, Chris, let's do this. Let's tell people how to get it done with that first $500 a month budget.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's Google is so big and there's so many people using it every day. Small businesses certainly can be overwhelmed, especially if you do a search and you see 5 people advertising on that keyword. But the fact of it is, what you don't know is that the keyword you searched is probably not a good keyword. And if you target it the right way at the right time of day with the right landing page, $3 spent is just as good as $3 spent out of 3,000. Right? If you only have a few dollars to spend a day, that one click can be just as valuable as the 300 clicks that you could get for a huge budget. So you may be getting a small piece of the pie, but it's the same piece of the pie. You're still getting qualified traffic, at one piece at a time. It's just a slower rate. So I think the first thing I have to say about overall strategy is that this is a long-term thing. Do not start a campaign with a low budget under 500 and expect quick results. This is a long-term strategy. You can spend 300 a month, but expect to do that over the next 6 to 12 to 24 months. This is the kind of thing that it doesn't happen from week 1 to week 2.
Right. And, something's ringing in my head here, Chris. When we interviewed Jacob Basgard, the CEO of Disruptive, he had a nice way of thinking about AdWords profitability. It's buying customers off the shelf. So if you can only buy $300 to $500 worth of customers off the shelf at a profitable rate, still buy them. And so it should this small budget, like you're saying, it should just become part of your marketing strategy. Month after month, get on AdWords, start getting good results. As your business grows, you can start buying more customers and spending more money. But there's no reason not to start buying small. So Chris, my take on the overall strategy is that since you are dealing with a small budget, you've got to make the most of that budget. And my approach to making the most of the budget, it's almost a gift when you get a small budget, is to show up as low as possible, get as cheap a cost per click as possible, so you can get as many clicks and leads for that small budget. And that's the strategy, and see how low and how cheap you can get away with. That is how I approach small budgets.
I love that you said it's a gift with a small budget, because this may surprise our listeners, but if a client asked me, Chris, should I spend $3,000 or $30,000? Now, fees and and management fees, all of that aside, I would rather work with 3,000 rather than 30, because with 30,000, I'm going to throw tons of stuff at the wall and see what works. And it hurts to see thousands and thousands of dollars be spent a day and to not see good results come through, to throw some keywords at a campaign and just see, okay, only half of those worked. There's a lot of wasted spend. There's, there's a display campaign going. There's all this other stuff. With a $3,000 budget, I might have to really make critical decisions about, is this important? I can't really do a national campaign. Let's pick the most profitable states or cities that work for you. And then suddenly we end up getting really good results for that $3,000 compared to the $30,000, which gets tons of traffic and might get worse results or maybe the same. But the fact is they just spent 10 times more. So I love that you were totally honest with the fact that small budgets really make an AdWords manager work harder. The goal is much more refined. And I've been doing some archery lately. Jason, if I were to practice archery, what's the best way to do it? Is to shoot at a small target, not a massive, huge target on the side of a wall, right? So and that's the idea with small budgets. You have to make decisions. And that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about what decisions do you need to make in order to make a small budget work in AdWords.
Right. Now, what decisions do we have to make, and what are our decisions on those decisions? Well, let's just break down an AdWords account here, Chris. Start off with the settings. We know our budget. Now, settings include things like ad schedule and location. My approach to those things, and also also languages, and we talked about that with Walt on an episode a few weeks ago. My goal is to show up on as many auctions as I can on quality keywords. So how do we show up on more auctions? We show up more of the time. We run, if possible, 24/7. Or the longest business hours possible if we're focused on phone calls. How do we show up on more auctions? We expand our location to the absolute widest area we can profitably provide the service in. And my theory is that the more auctions you show up on, the more times your ads will show in those low positions. And even if you have a really low click-through rate because you're in those low positions because you're bidding low, the more auctions you show up on, the more chance you have at getting clicks in those low positions and spending your full budget.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. I mean, percentile wise, if you only show a couple of times in high positions, you end up getting one click, and let's say you have a 5% conversion rate. You're going to have to get a lot of those really highly expensive clicks in order to get a conversion. But if you are bidding at a fraction of the rate, you can get a whole lot more traffic. Say you still have a 5% conversion rate, you're going to get more per dollar spent in conversions than you would at a high bid. So absolutely, I think a wider reach, lower bids is a good approach in most cases. And now this is all subjective to the industry that you're in. Maybe some people say, well, I really can't service people outside of a 10-mile radius, so this is all relative to what works for you. But in most cases, a wider reach, as wide as you possibly can. And keep in mind, this is one thing I always have to remind people search from work. A lot of people commute. And if people are commuting, they're outside of that 10-mile radius. They might be all the way, 30 miles away. So keep in mind that, when you're doing these campaigns, you need to make sure that you include commute ranges for some of these things. So
now, Chris, a couple more setting things I'm going to do. I would start with manual bids just because we don't have a lot of budget. We can't let things get out of hand outside of our control. So I'm going to start with manual bids. If we go too low, we can always just change a couple bids and go higher. But I like having the control there. And then, Chris, I like the accelerated in terms of how often when they show your ads, like evenly throughout the day to manage your budget, or accelerated. I want to get accelerated and see just how many auctions I can show up on with a cheap, low cost per click and spend that full budget. So I like getting that data and knowing really what the opportunity is there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that one. I mean, if you're going to go with if you have restricted business hour times when your ads are showing, if you're set for 24/7, I would say don't go with the accelerated spend. I'd say keep it with standard. But if you have an 8 to 5 ad schedule, then okay, I think that works. I think accelerated would work well because you've already set your minimum or maximum hours that you're going to show. So I think that works. All right. So next we're going to move to ad groups and keywords. Jason, I know you have some thoughts on.
Well, Chris, I think there's two ways to go here, and I really lean in just one direction. But I think there's two approaches to this. The first approach is when people hear low cost per click, a lot of people are going to start thinking about low quality, broad keywords, and just seeing what you can get away with. That's one approach to show up on a lot of higher in the funnel stuff. Get cheaper cost per clicks on some lower quality keywords and just see if those bring in the conversions. The other approach is to just go for your highest quality stuff. And that would be my approach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I'm geared to. If I only have $500, I just want to spend it on, if for a moving company, movers near me, profitable keyword, super profitable moves like office moving companies. And I don't want to really just put in broad match modified movers or moving companies and see what happens. I don't want to, we don't have a lot of budget here to work with.
Yeah. And I agree with you. There's a place for people to try higher funnel stuff, but just to put a picture with what we're talking about. Let's say you're a dentist and you don't have a lot of money and you want to try some cheaper keywords. You might be tempted to do something like tooth pain or bleeding gums or bad breath.
Thick right now.
I mean,
I'm having PTSD on these conversations with clients. That's not the way search works.
Yeah, I mean, don't be tempted when we say this. I mean, the strategy on this is you are so easily going to step on a landmine and spend tons of completely useless money. Come on, you're only willing to spend, less than 500. At least make that 500 worth it. Don't take, here's 500. I'm just going to throw it away on tooth pain. I mean, it's just silly. So I think, Jason, you're right. I think there is some, you could try it, but I'd say leave it to a professional to try and sort what's worth risking your budget on. But instead go after more, just the core keywords is how I would call it. The stuff, if you're a dentist, local dentist, right. Teeth cleaning services near me. I mean, these are the kind of things that would work well, and they would bring the right kind of traffic.
To paint a picture, Chris, I mean, just picture, the sales funnel. Deeper is more valuable. Those kind of near me services, searches. Higher in the funnel, the highest, tooth pain. Your budget, like, it fills it up like a thermometer. Like, if you only have $500, you can only start at the deepest, most valuable point of the funnel and go up a little bit.
Oh,
and
like
then,
that.
Yeah, if you have more budget, you can get into like dentist offices. And then you have more and more budget and you're running out of ways to spend things. Tooth pain, toothache, stuff like that, highest in the funnel. Another point here, Chris, is people might push back and say, okay, yeah, you want to start deep in the funnel, but those are the most valuable keywords. You're not going to get clicks on these super valuable bid up keywords. And I've just got to push back against people and tell you, hey, people do click on ads in position 3, 4, and 5, even at the bottom of the page. It happens. Chris, you and I both have keywords that have average positions 3s, 4s, 5s.
Yep.
They still get clicks every month.
Absolutely.
So that's why you want to show up on as many auctions as possible on those high quality searches and give yourself a chance to get those clicks that do happen in positions 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. It's absolutely true there. When there's enough traffic, as long as you're not, going after just exact keywords, and you only get a couple of impressions a day on these things, you're going after something that has a decent volume, then you're going to get clicks. It's definitely going to happen. So, and believe me, Jason, I built an automotive repair shop campaign just the other day, and he has an 8-mile radius that we're working on. And, I'm really trying to stretch to find things and things that I just didn't think were going to get clicks and searches. It's happening. It just, to go to the very top of what I talked about, it's a long-term thing. This is not a day-by-day or week-by-week thing. This is a month-by-month thing.
Right. Now, moving on from keywords and ad groups into ads. My main point here with ads, Chris, is that, at least for me, the focus with ads and data about ads is usually on click-through rate. Like, we're all trained to focus on ads that get a great click-through rate and really try to A/B test those and get even a better click-through rate, because click-through rate influences quality score, cost per click, all that. But here's the deal. If you have a small budget, it doesn't matter if you have a good click-through rate. You got to go with the ad copy that's actually bringing in leads. That's my approach when you have a super small budget. So I'm going to prioritize the cost per lead and the ability to get leads with the conversion rate on my ad copy performance above. I'm going to prioritize the ability to get leads above just a high click-through rate. I'm not going to be that impressed if I'm getting a high click-through rate, because I only have a small budget. I've got to get some leads in the door. So that's how I think about ads with a super small budget.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's it might be that could be a topic all by itself, honestly, because I see a lot of really small minutia details that we could discuss there, but we won't go there today.
Like focusing on calls to action.
Yeah, because there's that. I mean, there's people. Jason just laid out a very simple thing, but it has a ton behind the door that he's not going into. So we'll just leave it at that. We already talked about bids. I think that's the next point that you have here is bids. We've talked about how we want to try and keep things low.
So what's your point on bids? Basically just start as low as possible, see what you can get away with. Or do you start high and move down?
I think we should contrast it with our series on how to build an AdWords campaign. When we built a dentist campaign, Jason, with a $2,000 or $3,000 budget, which is quite a bit over what we're talking about now. What we did is we talked about putting, what did we say, like $10, $12 bids on some of these keywords, maybe in the 15s even. So to contrast it to what we talked about when just building a campaign with plenty of budget, I think it's going to be the exact opposite. You need to ignore the warning on your keywords that says this does not meet minimum first page bid. Thanks, Google, but that's not my priority right now. Right now, I need to just sample the water and see what I can get with these keywords. I don't need to try and be on first page for everything. Let me just briefly say that warning is based on the lowest common denominator of the entire search impression share that you have. So let's say there's 100 searches out there, okay? And 99 of them, you are enough to get on the first page, right? On the 100th one, there's one out of those 100 that you are not bid high enough to get a rank to show up on first page. It's going to show you that warning. Okay. That's good to know, because sometimes, I'm not high enough, but I'm still getting some impressions here, but I'm not high enough. I need to bid up. Keep in mind, any amount of impressions that won't show you on the first page, it'll show that warning on that keyword. So, take it, don't let it freak you out. I see that on plenty of my keywords that perform very well. Sometimes even have like a 2.3 average position, and they still are warning me, this isn't high enough to show on the first page. Cool it, Google.
Yeah, Chris, it takes a lot of discipline to go with low bids and have a day where some of your keywords don't get any clicks and see those notifications. But I think definitely you got to start low. And I think for a dental campaign, Chris, if we're talking $12 to $15 when we built it out, for a campaign like this where we've had 500 and we're going with the low bid strategy, I think I would start bids at like $7 and see what happened that first day.
$7 bids at $7? Are you kidding me? That's so high. I was thinking like $2.
Oh, too high. Okay.
$2.
$2. Okay.
I'm going with like $2.
Race to the bottom here.
Well, what industry are we in?
God, you are a cheapskate, dude. You think
well, come on.
$2 clicks? I just
Jason, is this a dentist we're talking about?
A dentist, yeah.
Okay, so this is a dentist. So 300. So we're going to get about 20 days in the month. That gives us about $15 a day. A $7 bid, maybe
say 500. Say $500.
Okay, 500. So we changed it to 500.
Business days, 20 business days a month, $25
so that's 25 a day. Okay.
I mean, three to four clicks, 3 or 4 clicks a day. But here's the thing, Chris, if I am getting, if I do spend that $25 a day, 2 days in a row, I'll go lower, but I'm just trying to, that was just my starting point. I'm not happy with that, but
we'd have to,
I just want to see if I can get something for 7.
Even between two guys that agree on 90% of everything. I think this is just a good example of make your own decisions and what works for you. Because there's no wrong answer when it comes to bids. If you're in it for the long haul, to try it for several months, for a year, then just put something on there and let it sit for a little bit. Don't go too high. You don't want to over push this and overspend and get 10% in search impression share. But let it sit and see how it does.
I think there's two approaches. The goal we both have is get the lowest click possible and still spend the full budget, lowest cost per click. The way you're approaching it is to start from the bottom and go up. And the way I just would approach it is to start maybe higher and go down.
Yeah, go down.
Because I like getting the data. But
I'm assuming this client isn't going to email me in a week and ask how things are going. They're going to email me in 2 months and see how things are going. That's the time frame I'm thinking of. But normal freak out Joe. Okay, if he's normal freak out Joe, and
why didn't I get any clicks today?
Yeah, I didn't get. My business is going to fail, and blah blah blah. Okay, I'm going to go with 7. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like all the clients I get nowadays are crazy freak out Joe. So, but anyway, okay.
Chris, the last strategy here, remarketing.
The absolute. I think Jason, if all of this is just like, I can't afford it. I do AC repair and the bids or the costs are like $30 a click for these things. I just can't afford this. Jason, if an AC repair company had $300 to spend a month, I'd say, great. We have a wonderful way for you to spend money on AdWords that will generate qualified leads for you. And it's remarketing. Let's say you get thousands of visitors a day, and you want to show them ads after they visited your site, and you can show thousands of impressions a day to all these people, and then suddenly you're able to generate leads because people are seeing your ads again. And this is something that can cost $5-10 a day, which is perfect for $300 a month.
Remarketing really is a place to start with a super small budget. It's a beautiful thing. Now, Chris, I've talked about my remarketing campaigns in the past and how they work so well for me. So I just want to give some numbers here to show people how much you really can get done with the small budget. These are real numbers. Last 30 days, one of my remarketing campaigns for my own business.
Drum roll. Yeah. Let's hear it. I mean, this is
my own business. This is my money.
Stuff here. Yeah, absolutely.
$329 spent.
Small golf clap. Thank you for contributing to the economy.
Average cost per click. You might have a heart attack, but $2.
That's not,
I'm aggressive. I'm aggressive on remarketing.
Sure. Yeah. I'd say $3 is pretty aggressive. So yeah, you're probably around the $3 mark.
It's gotten me 157 clicks, visits to my website.
Wow. That's
100. And here's what I love. Over 102,000 impressions. So in the last 30 days, I was able to spend $329 one night at the movies. I love when people say that about a small amount of money. Maybe it's a little more than that.
That's a big night at the movies. Would you buy a theater? Gosh.
A lot of popcorn. 472 pounds. Chris, my mug, because I have these because what are we doing remarketing for? We want to brand ourselves. So it's a picture of me and my logo, which is my face, was seen over 102,000 times, Chris, from people that have been to my website recently. I mean, I think that's a valuable thing for $329.
You paid a third of a cent for every, or less than a third of a cent for every impression that you got. That's imagine getting that kind of rate for a billboard from only people that have been to your website before. Try and get that from a television show or a billboard. I mean, it's impossible. I want to show my ad, but only at a third of a cent to people that have been to my website. And it's impossible at that rate. You just can't do it.
And now here's where it gets better, Chris. Now, number one, remarketing works because it's remarketing. Like, it blows you up in people's minds. It's happened to me when I see agencies remarket to me. I start thinking like they're the coolest thing ever, like the biggest thing ever. I'm like, man, these guys are everywhere. And I know what's going on, Chris. I know what's going on with remarketing. I know that you don't have to be that big to remarket and appear big, but it still does that trick in your mind. So it works.
I keep seeing this guy's face. Yeah. He's everywhere. Yeah, it's amazing. He's like,
I got a call this week, man. You keep following me around. I figured I might as well just call you.
There you go. I love that. Yeah.
So it works for the branding and impressions. Again, $329. But here's where it gets really interesting, Chris. I got 4 direct lead form fills on my website. And I got 5 view through lead form fills. I mean, we're talking 9 leads here that came from part of the remarketing campaign. Dude, for $329, like that is, we're talking great marketing here. We're talking profitable. And so again, if you only have that 300 to 500, get started on remarketing.
Yeah. Yep. Ignore everything about the first of this. Just do remarketing and you'll realize, wow, I keep hearing hearing people talk about all these, see my ads all over the place. Or, I keep getting these calls from people. Hey, I came to your website 3 months ago and I saw your ad again. I'd like to, go ahead and give you a call. I mean, you'll hear things like that and it's wonderful. So small budgets, Jason said it himself, small budgets are ideal to bulked up, high spend, high energy campaigns that just end up paying for Google's next auto driving car. And and they work better.
We get to do our thing. That's what we like about them, is we get to make things as tuned in and as high performing as possible because we only have a little bit to work with.
Yeah.
So that's why they're fun to talk about and fun to do. We hope this episode helped you guys. Now, Chris, I got to admit something here. Are you working hard into this new year? Because you look really well rested. Sometimes you have these weeks where you're stressed, you've had 1,000 phone calls, but today you are just looking like you're on vacation, well rested, great skin. How great are things going for Chris Schaefer in this new year?
Yeah, right now I am enjoying a wonderful walk through the snow as you guys are listening to this podcast.
Wow.
So yes, I'm doing very well. And so Jason's going to essentially end the podcast where we started it with a talk show about Chris, which is not what I like to do. So I'm going to end it and say, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thank you for the likes on YouTube. Thank you for the reviews on iTunes. Jason has left the building. I'm just going to show you guys on YouTube. There it is right there. There's his empty desk. We will catch you guys next week.